So I'd like to have the board be some proactive here and set up so that we can help the Sustainable Sharing group. Get your people in here and let's move on this.
You made this presentation a while back. I was there. So I did my own experiment on it, and it's rethinking, and it's not hard to do. And as soon as you figure out all of the different things that you're throwing out and it's trash that are recyclables, you're absolutely right. It works out perfectly. So it's so much easier once you start, and even after a week of doing it, all of a sudden you find out all those things you're throwing out in the trash are actually recyclables. So it ends up in recyclables, and your trash can, which was full, and sometimes at the end of the day, it takes almost an entire week to fill or longer. So it's a great idea. And I think Joe's right. The more that we can re-educate the people in town here and make them understand that this is not Mount Fuji to climb. This is something that you can actually do, and once you try it, experiment with it even a little bit, they'll find out how easy it is. Because, as you said, most people are throwing away things that are recyclable right now, and a lot of it. I think it's an outstanding idea.
But I agree with the chairman. I think that we should hold 1 or 2 sessions. I think there are a lot of people that like to come and talk about it, the pros and cons of it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And to introduce ourselves, I'm Cheryl Schnitzer, and I'm here with Kathy Mirza.
Sure.
Yeah.
That way.
You want us to make a decision, right?
Very good. So to tell you a little bit about ourselves, we both live in Sharon. We have families and children, and I'm a chemistry professor at Stonehill, and we're very lucky to have Kathy living in our town. She is she works at the Mass DEP as the assistance coordinator, and she knows just about anything you want to ask her about trash.
And so we shall.
That's right. This has become my hobby, so this is, you could ask me a lot about this by now too. The third person who's doing this with us, who has made it her mission along with us to educate the town about trash, is the chair of Sustainable Sharing Coalition, and that's Ricky Stern. She would be here too, but she's on vacation. So we are volunteers with Sustainable Sharing Coalition, and we're here to suggest a proposal to improve and modernize our solid waste program. Within the next 9 minutes or so, we will explain how our proposal is good for the environment and good for our wallets. We've talked around town. We've made it our mission, as I said, to give talks and educate the town about this. And in the last year, we've talked to hundreds of citizens. We've gone to, you have this paper, but among places at the Rotary Club, houses of worship, PTOs, house parties, wherever people will let us talk, we go and give our presentation, which is a longer presentation.
You're talking trash. Is that what you think?
That's right, we're trash talking. And we have been blown away by the level of support that's garnered by this proposal. And so I'd like to share with you the proposal that we have. Primarily, there are 4 points to it. The first being to adopt a SMART program, save money and reduce trash. And there are over 140 SMART towns already in Massachusetts. So we are not doing something novel here. We are simply following along with good practice of other towns. And we can benefit from what they've learned, so that's been nice too. Number 2 is to have weekly recycling. We've heard this loud and clear from residents that they are putting recyclables into their trash can because they cannot fit them in their recycling bin. And so every week would help facilitate that. Plus, we would like to have every household be provided with this 35-gallon trash cart for free. And this size qualifies to be part of the SMART program. And as you can see, we have a little It holds 2 to 3 tall kitchen bags.
Easily.
Yes. And if I may address, I recognize a lot of people in here, and they have 2 and 3 kids in their families, and we've talked to people. How many of you think you can live within the means of this cart?
Every 2 weeks. I could.
Every 2 weeks?
Takes 2 weeks to fill.
We've
that
heard this,
size.
and we've heard people say they want composting too, so that's down the road. And this, by the way, the cart would be automated collection like recycling bins. It would still be, we'd keep our recycling bins and have this, which is safer for trash collectors to have this automation. If a household goes over this, and this is not a lot, based on other towns, about 85% of households can live within the means of this size. We have 2 kids each and a dog, and we easily only go to half. Well, she has a dog, I don't. So it's a good option for 85% of us. We won't have to change our habit whatsoever. Thanksgiving, Christmas, other times, we have to come up with a plan for overflow. And then families who need more than this, other options for overflow. But there will be options, either another cart or pay-as-you-throw bags. Why this proposal now? 2 reasons. 1, because the curbside collection contract is expiring at the end of next year, and so it's timely, and we want to be proactive about good practices. And the tipping fee at the incinerator has doubled 2 Januaries ago. So far the town has sheltered us from that increase in cost, but that can't go on forever. So what we're proposing is a system that's more fair in the sense that every household will be provided with a minimal service, and those that need more will pay for it rather than having 85% of us subsidizing everyone, the rest of them. What is actually our trash? So this is a picture of a trash cart. It's collected from data in the state, and what you can see is that it's not all trash. Up to 26% of it is paper that people throw out as trash. Up to 21% are organics that could be composted. 14% plastics that could be recycled. So up to this point, all of that could have gone somewhere else, and the rest, demolition material, other materials, metals. These are things that could go other places, and frankly should not be in the incinerator at all because they produce harmful emissions and toxic soot. And so this is all would be good for reducing trash. It would be good for all the good things that we can do: reduce, reuse, recycle, compost. It would solve our trash problem drastically, and it would control costs. Moving it up with Kathy.
Thanks. And I'm going to put up this other poster so we can just take a few moments to look at how we're doing now and how this proposed program will be affecting residents, because that's most important. So hopefully you can see this, but this is a map of Massachusetts, and it's something my colleagues and I have generated the past couple of years up at DEP with the intention of trying to get a sense of how much trash is generated in each community per household served, and then looking at what types of programs they have that help reduce trash to the greatest extent, so we can look at them and model after them. So in this map, the communities that are most yellow and green, the greener you get, it's an indicator of much less trash that's generated per household for the entire community. The warmer it gets, the more orange, the more red, it's an indicator of much more trash generation per household. So we can see that in Sharon, we're in this kind of dark orange zone, so we generate, and it's been pretty consistent for years, just under a ton per household. So we're in this dark orange zone. If we had to grade ourselves, I'd hate to say that we'd probably be about a C or a D, with the greens being more in the A zone, obviously, in terms of kind of model programs and where we hope to get to. So we know we can do better, and one of the commonalities with these programs that are generating so much less trash is that they're smart programs. The vast majority are programs that have some kind of mechanism that encourages residents to reduce their trash to the greatest extent. So we really want to learn from them. We actually in Sharon generate more than the average community for the entire state. If the state average is 1,700 pounds or so, we're at over 1,800 pounds per household. So we really feel like we can do better. Kind of going over the program that Cheryl mentioned briefly, the proposal that we had, it would be this 35-gallon trash cart. So for the fee that we pay quarterly, everyone would have this size cart picked up every single week. We continue using the recycling cart as we do, but go to weekly recycling, that would be one of the options so that there would be plenty of capacity to recycle more. As Cheryl mentioned in the previous graphic, so much of what we're throwing away as trash is actually recyclable or compostable. About 60% of it is. Those are from audits of incinerators across the state over time. So that's real data, that's our waste. So we also know that with the program is that we would have overflow options. And so whether you need more space for recycling, the town could accommodate that. Or whether you need more space for trash, there would be options for that as well. It holds a lot of trash, this container. I think there would be plenty of people, not everybody, but most people. There is good data from other communities with a one-barrel type program like this that show that the vast majority are really served by this size container, particularly when there's ample recycling opportunities and promotion to reuse, donate, compost. We sell compost bins in town here, which is a great service as well. What's lovely about this program is that with it offering a base level of service, it really does provide more equity because most people can get by with this. Those who generate much less trash won't be subsidizing those who generate large amounts of waste. I find that in the communities that I serve, if there's a large senior population or even a not so large senior population, it could be small households, it could be avid recyclers and composters, they don't need so much capacity. But right now we're paying equally regardless of how much we put out. And so, we can put out 5 barrels of trash a week here. So unfortunately, it's sending the wrong message, and that's really part of why we want to get at this, because the time is so right with the contract coming up next year to really look at how we can do better, because we really think that the sentiment and the desire is there in the community to be a model community. We do so many things right. I think we can do this one a little bit better. Our streets would be cleaner with this cart. We would be getting the bags off the streets. From an industry perspective, it's so much safer for the drivers and the hauler. We see that with the recycling program. You don't want people doing this. There's so much injury with the drivers and the guys that are picking, mostly men that are picking this up, that actually women can now get into this profession when it's automated collection because it's such difficult work. And of course, it encourages reuse, recycling, and composting. So that really wraps it up. We really feel strongly that this would be a very cost-effective program for the community. It would help us as ratepayers to control what we pay more so that everyone gets a nice basic level of service that's fair, that accommodates the majority, but that it's fair and that it's sustainable over time. And it's certainly good for the environment because we feel quite confident that our trash would be reduced, I think, reasonably 30% or more by going to a program like this. And so we just ask for your consideration. We hope that when the town goes out to bid next year, that you would consider this model in that equation. And if there's anything we can do to help support that going forward, we want to make ourselves available to you.
I know you've been, like you just said, you've been to churches and all kinds of organizations talking. But I would like to see this board have consensus that in the fall, it's probably too late now because people are going to be going on vacation and everything, but in the fall, I would like to see this board sponsor a couple of those meetings like we've had with the pipeline that we did downstairs. I'd like to see and get a large group of people together and get their ideas and educate them. You're doing it in small groups and that's fantastic, but you're doing it in time, the time is way off. This way here, you could probably hit half a town in a couple of meetings and do it in the fall when everybody's back from vacation.
The same maker that has
What's the average trash can out there? What's that gallons?
32.
Of homeowners
Yeah,
cans? They're
regular
usually
homeowners.
between 32 and 36. They're all a little bit different. So it's equivalent to that, except that it has
This is
wheels.
one.
You made this presentation a while back, I was there. So I did my own experiment on it, and it's rethinking. And it's not hard to do, and as soon as you figure out all of the different things that you're throwing out and it's trash that are recyclables, you're absolutely right. It works out perfectly. So it's so much easier once you start, and even after a week of doing it, all of a sudden you find out all those things you were throwing out in the trash are actually recyclables. So it ends up in recyclables, and your trash can, which was full, and sometimes at the end of the day, takes almost an entire week to fill or longer. So it's a great idea. And I think Joe's right. The more that we can re-educate the people in town here and make them understand that this is not Mount Fuji to climb. This is something that you can actually do, and once you try it and experiment with it even a little bit, they'll find out how easy it is. Because, as you said, most people are throwing away things that are recyclable right now, and a lot of it.
That's why the weekly recycling would add that enhancement, so it's even easier to be able to accommodate this kind of program.
So
Thank you.
I think it's an outstanding idea.
So thank you. As you know, when we all met to talk about, coming forward to the board about this, I was extremely supportive. And I mentioned to you at that time, it was my sole initiative when I first got on the board to eliminate the yellow recycling bins that we had and go to a single stream. And obviously we've done that. I believe that we have to go to weekly. I think that what we hear around town is that people filled their recycling, 96-gallon recycling in a week. And as you said, they throw everything else out because there's no other option. We will come back with some type of recycling. I can't tell you what that is on the town level. But we can't do that for a while. We can't do that for a while because of what's going on in construction-wise and alike. And as I mentioned to you when we met, one of our biggest problems is it's great to go and get the recycled boxes and recycled papers and bottles and the like, but what we do when it's not being monitored is we get a lot of trash.
At the drop-off.
At the drop-off. And so we have to figure out a process. So we can't just put a recycling location anywhere in town because all of a sudden we're going to be paying for trash. The town will be paying for trash that people can't put into their bin because it's 35 gallons and they think they need more. So we have to sort of think through that. But I agree with the chairman. I think that we should hold 1 or 2 sessions. I think there are a lot of people that like to come and talk about it, the pros and cons of it, and then we can make a decision. We do have time, thankfully.
So you're in about 4 months before we
Yeah.
run out
Yep. So that's where I
for the
stand.
contract.
Yeah, it's the end of December next year.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
All right.
much.